Paddy Pimblett and Justin Gaethje are set to clash at UFC 324 in January for an interim title fight. However, news is coming that Justin Gaethje has pulled out of this fight, and Arman Tsarukyan is likely to replace him on that fight card. Although the news is yet to be confirmed by UFC, but if it's true, then it might be the end of Justin's career, as he is not going to get another title after this. Nonetheless, it's great news for Arman, who can finally get a chance to fight for the belt. This is definitely surprising news, as Justin Gaethje was excited and fired up about this fight, as it was a ticket for him to get another shot at the belt before retiring. After the fight announcement, he shared how grateful he was for the opportunity and for being part of the UFC's new era with Paramount+. He felt confident going into the interim title fight with Paddy Pimblett and was focused on delivering a performance fans would remember. Justin Gaethje said, "What a ride it is. So thankful for the opportunity to start off this new partnership with the UFC and Paramount+. Perfect dance partner for another unforgettable night to prove once again I am one of the best and most exciting fighters of this era. I will be ready to go." Meanwhile, Arman Tsarukyan also wanted Justin Gaethje to beat Paddy Pimblett at UFC 324. He referred to Paddy as an easy fight the UFC had built up, and hoped Justin would dominate and make everyone forget about him, explaining that real contenders like himself were simply watching and waiting for their moment.
Yes, it's a business to build Paddy and make him easy fights, but I hope Justin gonna beat his ass, kick his ass, and we're gonna forget about Paddy all our life. They gave him easier because they know he's gonna lose to Ilya, and real fighters like me just watching and waiting our time, you know.
Arman Tsarukyan even offered to assist Justin Gaethje ahead of his interim lightweight title fight against Paddy Pimblett. He said he was ready to travel and help with Gaethje's training, pointing out that this could be Justin's final chance to win the interim belt, fight for the undisputed title, and finish his career on a high note. Despite their rivalry, Arman expressed respect for Gaethje's focus and dedication.
Justin, if you need the help, let me know. I'll fly to you and help you.
Really?
I mean, I want him to win, you know. That bullshit guy, I hate him. But I hope Justin Gaethje not gonna drink, party, gonna train, dedicate himself, be focused. It's his last chance in this life. He's fighting he was fighting for the title maybe 5 times. So this is his chance, and the end of his career, win the interim title, fight for the real title, and then retire. That's the best for him.
Meanwhile, Renato Moicano expressed shock that Paddy Pimblett received a title shot without defeating any top 15 opponents. He said it seemed illogical, noting that Paddy's recent wins were against fighters with multiple losses, including Michael Chandler and Bobby Green. Moicano questioned how such a resume could justify a title opportunity.
What do you think of everything that happened? Who's giving the title shots or whatnot?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't feel that's fair, you know? But we live in a world that is not fair, you know? Giving a title to Paddy Pimblett, a title shot is unbelievable.
Someone that's easy money.
Easy fucking money. And let me tell you something, brother. Who he beat on the division? Michael Chandler, coming off 4 losses, 5 losses. Tony Ferguson, 8 losses. Bobby Green, coming off 3 losses. And who he beat on the top 15? Nobody. Nobody. And he's still getting the title.
Renato Moicano claimed that Arman Tsarukyan missing his fight with Islam Makhachev disrupted the entire lightweight division. He explained that the division could have progressed if Arman had fought. But with Ilia Topuria facing personal issues and declining fights, the Gaethje versus Pimblett interim title matchup seemed pointless. Moicano described it as a paper champion situation, questioning the need for an interim belt when Topuria should still be recognized as the rightful champion.
This is Arman fault, this is Topuria fault, this is... You know, when I fought Makhachev, Arman was supposed to fight for the title and he fucked up the division, that's the truth, you know?
Yeah.
If he had fought that night, the division would keep going, but now we have Topuria going through divorce or something like that. He doesn't want to fight, but it is what it is. They have Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett. To me, this is going to be the paper champ. That, you know, that's not a undisputed champ, and doesn't make any sense to do this interim belt because Topuria will be the champion anyways. Yeah. So whoever gets the belt now have to face Topuria for the unification of the belt. So to me personally, doesn't make any sense. The fight should be #1 contender. But why UFC did that? Because they solve a lot of problems with that, because Justin Gaethje was saying if he didn't get the title shot, he would retire.
Arman Tsarukyan was also extremely frustrated about missing out on a title shot after putting in all the work. He was even angrier that Paddy Pimblett got the opportunity, especially since he strongly dislikes him. Arman argued that Paddy secured the title fight because of his popularity, not his skills, suggesting that fan appeal and UFC business interests mattered more than actual accomplishments in the cage.
It's the same. He has like a followers or whatever, or his country is big, or I don't know, UFC likes him so much, or he's selling, or what he's doing, I don't know. So he got his title fight because of that.
Arman also mentioned that he has zero liking for Paddy Pimblett and said that if they ever shared the cage, his only plan would be to dominate Paddy on the ground with non-stop elbows. He explained that in the Dan Hooker fight, he debated between going for a choke or finishing with strikes, but against Paddy, he wouldn't even think about submissions. He would just keep elbowing until he overwhelmed him and left him badly marked up.
Wouldn't you kind of like the opportunity to be the one to do it to him, like to beat Paddy?
Yeah, oh my God, I would just maul his face on the ground just with my elbows. When I fought with Hooker, I was thinking, what should I do when I was on the top? Should I choke him, or I just should like elbow him? But with Paddy, I'm not gonna for the choke. I'm gonna just elbow him all day, all night, just make his face like bleeding.
Tsarukyan even unleashed a full rant about Paddy Pimblett, making it clear he has no respect for him whatsoever. He said he can't stand Paddy and wishes someone else had been matched with Gaethje. Arman added that he doesn't even feel like showing up to the event because if he runs into Paddy, he might confront him on the spot. He even joked about giving him a proper slap, saying he'd show Paddy the kind of hit he thinks he actually deserves.
There's a saying that like, don't hate the player, hate the game, but you hold it personally against Paddy Pimblett.
Yeah, I hate just Paddy. I hate Paddy.
Yeah.
I wish it was Oliveira fighting with Gaethje or someone different, but not Paddy. I hate that guy.
Will you be at the fight? I imagine you'll go to January 24th, yeah? You think you'll be there?
I don't want to be there because I'm going to fight with somebody there. Because if I see Paddy, I would like to slap him. Not slap like slapping Ilya, but real Armenian slap. Maybe this is Spanish slap, like when they put on the neck, that's the slap. I'll show him like a real slap.
On the other hand, Ilia Topuria also faced significant criticism for choosing not to fight during the first quarter of 2026. Fans believe he is avoiding a matchup with Arman, who is the #1 contender. However, Sean O'Malley thinks Ilia Topuria is making the right call by staying out of competition. He explains that if Topuria is dealing with divorce or relationship issues, he needs to sort out his personal life before entering a fight camp. O'Malley adds that a fighter's mind has to be ready, focused, and sharp, and this is not the time for Topuria to be in camp.
How do you feel about Ilya not fighting?
I don't blame him at all. You know, if he's going through, you know, that kind of stuff, divorce and relationship stuff, you know, you gotta figure out that stuff, personal stuff, before you get in the fight camp. Your mind needs to be ready, focused, sharp. You need a good team, good, you know, people around you, and if you're dealing with that stuff, it is not a time to be in fight camp. So, yeah, I think he's making the right decision.
Michael Bisping also mentioned that Ilia Topuria is going through a difficult time outside the octagon due to a divorce. He pointed out that personal issues like this can be very distracting and affect training and fight preparation. Bisping also wished Ilia well in dealing with these challenges.
Ilia is going through a divorce right now, so of course, that's a tough time for anybody, and it is very, very distracting. You can't focus on a fight in the training camp, and certainly an opponent when you're going through a divorce. So certainly not going to talk about that any more than what I have done there. Ilia, we wish you nothing but the best.
Din Thomas commended Ilia Topuria for handling his situation with maturity. He pointed out that while many fighters might have held on to the belt and postponed action, Ilia allowed others to compete for the interim title. Thomas also respected that Ilia recognized his personal challenges could affect his performance and decided to step aside rather than rush a fight. He wished Ilia success in resolving his issues so he could return fully ready to compete.
Well, first off, my hat goes off to Ilia for doing that, because a lot of fighters would be like, no, I'm going to hold on to it and make everybody wait. So my hat's off to him for pulling that, the Jamal Hill and the Yuri Prochazka, right? Like saying,
Right.
you know, I'm going to sit back and I'm going to let these other guys fight for it and let them shake things out the way it needs to shake out. So even though he's not relinquishing the belt, he is letting somebody fight for the interim belt. So my hat's off to him for doing that. And when you have personal problems, you're not going to be able to fight well. And he understands that. So hats off to him for also recognizing that and not just trying to push through, because typically we'd be like, oh man, he should be fighting anyway. But the fact that he's recognizing that he's not going to be able to give us his best work and he needs to sit out for a while, hopefully things get better for him. And I'm wishing him all the luck and success in getting those things behind him so he can come back and fight.
On the other hand, Arman Tsarukyan revealed that the UFC had initially planned a January fight between Paddy Pimblett and Ilia Topuria. He said he knew about the matchup and didn't expect it to change even after his strong victory over Dan Hooker, because the UFC's plans were already set. According to Arman, everything changed only when Ilia withdrew, forcing the promotion to take a different approach.
I already knew that Paddy gonna fight with Ilia Topuria in January, but I didn't know they're gonna do interim title versus Gaethje and Paddy. But I knew that UFC wants to do Ilia versus Paddy, and on my mind I didn't think like it's something happened even if I knock him out, because they already set up that all things. But at the end of the day, Ilia didn't fight.
Arman Tsarukyan feels the UFC is building up Paddy Pimblett to set up a big fight with Ilia Topuria while overlooking him, even though he is confident he can beat anyone in the division. He described Paddy and Justin Gaethje as easy matchups and said that even Ilia wouldn't challenge him, noting that only Islam Makhachev has ever been a truly difficult opponent and that no one else in the lightweight division is on his level right now.
I think this is UFC game plan. It's not like family issue or something. Is they want to make star Paddy Pimblett and to bring him to fight for the title with Topuria as a bigger name and make it like a big fight, like Khabib versus Conor. But they're not, even if he got the belt. They know I could beat everybody. That's why they didn't give me title fight. Paddy, for me, it's a easy work. Justin, it's a easy work. Ilia, easy work. It was a hard work, Islam, but he left. So nobody on my level on this division right now.
On the other hand, Michael Bisping described the Paddy Pimblett versus Justin Gaethje fight as very competitive. He pointed out that even at 36, Gaethje remains explosive with powerful wrestling, striking, and leg kicks, and that his knockout loss to Max Holloway doesn't reflect his typical level. Bisping also praised Pimblett for his dominant win over Michael Chandler and his undefeated UFC record, calling him a real threat in the matchup.
But this is a very, very tough competitive matchup. Now, Justin Gaethje is no spring chicken. I think he's 36 years old. But you know what you're going to get with Justin Gaethje. Yes, of course, against Max Holloway at UFC 300, he got knocked out. He got embarrassed. He got face planted. I tell you what, it was a shocking scene, okay? But that's not normally what happens with Justin Gaethje. He is one of the most exciting fighters. They do call him the human highlight reel for a reason. He's got great wrestling, but the boxing, the striking, the leg kicks, the punch power that he has, I'm telling you, this man is no joke. And neither is Paddy Pimblett, right? We saw last time against Michael Chandler, he is the real deal. He absolutely smoked him. He's undefeated in the UFC. He put a beating on Michael Chandler.
Michael Bisping views this fight as Justin Gaethje's final major opportunity for a big win. He noted that Gaethje has already fought for titles against Charles Oliveira and Islam Makhachev. While Paddy Pimblett is a less intimidating opponent than Makhachev, Bisping stressed that he still poses a serious threat. He expects Pimblett to rely on movement and avoid direct exchanges with Gaethje, who has dangerous knockout power but warned against underestimating him. Overall, Bisping called it an excellent matchup.
And for Justin Gaethje, this is the final go. This is the final crack of the whip. The man's had 2 title fights in the past, Charles Oliveira to Khabib Nurmagomedov, and now he gets to go up against Paddy Pimblett. Now, talking about the matchup, of course, it is an easier fight for Justin than what it is against Khabib Nurmagomedov, one of the greatest of all time. Islam Makhachev, the current pound for pound, and according to many people, a man that is surpassing Khabib Nurmagomedov, right? So in that regard, it is an easier matchup. Will Paddy be able to take him down? Will he dance around the octagon? Yes, he will. Will he try and replicate the game plan of Max Holloway? Of course he will. Who wouldn't try and do that? You aren't going to stand and go toe-to-toe with Justin Gaethje because the man does have knockout power. But underestimate Paddy at your peril. That's all I'll say about that one, but that is a phenomenal fight.
Meanwhile, Din Thomas explained that the situation reflects how Paramount is influencing the UFC, favoring fighters who attract fan attention. He said it's a difficult expectation for athletes to both win and put on entertaining, high-risk performances. Thomas added that grappling-oriented fighters like Arman Tsarukyan often receive less recognition than fan favorites like Justin Gaethje, even though Arman would take a fight for the interim title if given the chance.
Right. Well, I know someone who's not happy, and I'm sure that's Arman Tsarukyan, right? I'm sure he believes he deserves to be in this fight. And he was saying, even after the win, like, didn't take any damage. If they want me to fight in January, that's when he's being asked about Ilya. But I'm sure if they called him to fight either of these guys for an interim belt, he would have done it.
You know, and it's unfortunate too, because we put this burden on these fighters, but it says a lot though. It says a lot about the direction that Paramount wants to go with the UFC, really. It says that, listen, we want guys that are going to bang. And it's an unfair burden that we put on fighters to say, we want you to win, be successful and win it. And you also have to entertain us by putting your neck on the line and taking a lot of chances and taking damage in the process. Because when you got guys like Justin Gaethje, that's what they do, but they're fan favorites. A guy like Arman Tsarukyan might not be a fan favorite because he's so grappling oriented.
Din Thomas thinks Paramount is guiding the UFC to focus on fighters who attract viewers. He noted that the sport relies on fan interest to grow. While Arman Tsarukyan deserves a title shot and will eventually get one, Thomas explained that the UFC currently favors fighters who deliver exciting performances, making it harder for those who prioritize skill over spectacle.
So it's kind of telling of where the direction of where they want the UFC to go, because they're trying to get eyeballs, man. Without eyeballs, the sport goes nowhere. So for Arman Tsarukyan, he might have to sit out for a little bit, but you know, he definitely deserves it and his time is coming. It's just, I think right now Paramount and the UFC is kind of establishing that, you know, we're going to want some entertainers in there, and if you're not entertaining us, if entertainment is not a part of your priority, then that might be an issue.
Furthermore, Ariel Helwani criticized the Gaethje versus Pimblett interim title fight, questioning why top contender Arman Tsarukyan was being ignored. He described the matchup as makeshift, comparing it to a BMF-style fight, and said an interim belt wasn't needed since Ilia Topuria already holds the championship. Helwani argued that the UFC should have waited to organize a proper #1 contender bout later in the year, and wondered what Arman would need to do to secure his title shot.
The #1 contender at 155 pounds is a guy named Arman Tsarukyan, and he's not involved in this fight. This is a makeshift fight. This is as prestigious as a BMF title. God bless. I said I wanted to see Paddy fight for the belt. God bless. But this is a bogus fight, and it's insane to me that it is headlining over Kayla Harrison versus Amanda Nunes. On paper, Paddy vs. Justin is a fine fight to determine the #1 contender to fight Ilya and or Arman. Ilya won that belt back in June. I don't even think you need an interim title fight. Honestly, it should have been the co-main event, 5-round #1 contender fight, Ilya versus Arman, second half of the year. What's the problem with that? And now what you just said, because he reiterated this in the Instagram live, the winner of this fight is going to fight Ilya. What happens to Arman? Arman's going to have to fight who? What is going on? What does Arman Tsarukyan have to do to get a shot at the belt now?
So that's all we have from today's video, and hopefully you enjoyed it. Share your thoughts about the upcoming UFC fight card in the comments section, and subscribe to our channel to get more updates about UFC.